So, well, it's time for When They Cry episode 3, and yeah, she snapped. She's evil. She's gonna kill you all. Rika-chan, traitor friend. You know, it was a good episode, but I do think it could be better. I mean, I just feel like, you know, I keep saying it about she happened earlier, right? But it's like she snapped at Rika, and that was a good. She's just like, I'm getting you now, Rika. I'm gonna get you for this. You know, and that's a pretty good scene. But I think the issue with that scene was that it should be better, right, if Rika actually knew what was happening. She's like, what are you talking about? You will betray me in the future! And she's like, no, I love you. No, you don't! I mean, you know, it would be better, right, if she's, I think it would be better if she snapped at one of the Rikas that actually has, you know, went and did betray her, right? That would be a little more clear. So she like snapped at the other Rika. It's like, what's happening? What are you doing? You know, yeah. So that's a little weird. What I hope now, said last week, is that I hope that we're gonna have one of these, you know, stuck in time loop thing again, right? And that she's actually doing it on purpose. I mean, generally, we've seen some of them, which is like, you know, scratching, like, no, I'm gonna kill you, right? Be the whole syndrome. And what I'm hoping, as I said earlier, is that I'm hoping that some of these scenarios, when she was the one having the syndrome, she actually faked it, and that's what I'm hoping, right? And she was like, it's actually like, oh, I'm getting you now, Rika! You know, she did it on purpose, hopefully. But anyway, let's watch the episode, so 3, 2, 1, and go. Well, that was loud, but yeah, I hope that's what I'm hoping for, definitely. She did it on purpose, right? She was like, she just pretended to have the syndrome, so I could kill you, Rika! Come on, that would be the best, I feel, part of it. Vi ser very little of Shion and so on, and Mion and so on. Yeah, very little sisters. Since like the last 5 episodes, right? It's been on Satoko and Rika. Yeah, she's like, I'm bored. I've been here before 25 times at least. We've done the exact same thing before. It's like, yep, I'm in a time loop. You said it the last time I was here. No. I do know though. Maybe 5 parts. Yeah, she's like, I'm in a time loop, okay? And this is like, I know I'm in a time loop. We will play a game of life. We're looking at some. It sounds like something Rika would say. It's like, but I would be way funnier with my abilities. It's like, okay. See, I hope she's like pretending to scratch. Like, come on, hope I'm right in that. She's pretending to have the syndrome. It's all a fake. She was having it all live. Come on. Wait, she can just use her powers now? So her trap. Wait, she can like time travel shortly now? So I mean, she's been snapping, you know, in the chandelier, so it was kind of weird. She can magically, yeah, but now she can actually snap and just like jump back in time or something, or like rewrite the reality for her powers. But yeah, because now it's like she's just jumping back and back. No, I'm gonna do this crap. I'm gonna like rewrite time every time, baby. Reality jumping. It's like to play memory. Yeah, so you see her trap magic, I said, tell you guys. That's how she made Rika in a time loop. It's a trap magic, right? It's like in a trap, a time trap. That's how she's actually time trapping. Yeah, it's like, that's too good. Oh, you would love that, Rika. But now she's kind of like evil after it. But now I feel that Satoko can just how do I say it? She can like, you know, go back a minute in time or something, right? Or like, yeah, now she's learned to like jump back. But the thing is that she would snap her fingers before she had the powers. Because maybe we saw when she snapped the chandelier, and it never been said how she could use like a trap magic. She could snap the chandelier, right? That was before she had these powers. The rope thing, I guess, could have been at any time, I guess. So, but yeah, now she's like jumping back in time, I guess, in some second. Just rewriting reality a little bit. Even smile I'm opening here. Are we finally gonna get to the gun scene now? You know how it ended last time before we got the whole Satoko. Yeah, I would hope that now we're finally gonna get to the how it ended, right? Before we actually enter the whole this time loop and and you know, like the sequel, I guess we're gonna call it. Yeah, Rika was gonna end it right with her powers last time. Or with power, but yeah, with the sword edge, whatever you call it. The partless sword bit. Because now she suddenly like improved her time powers. Yeah, you're a way better time traveler, okay. Yeah. She's way better to be able to like just go back immediately in time. Yeah, exactly. She just hopes for the draw. Well, you just have to roll it like a few times. Yeah, I guess roll the dice until I get the right thing, but oh, indeed. I have no name. Oh, I see. Oh, you can name him. Yeah, I'll do it. Yeah, it's like a love story now. You can be my name. I will allow you to name me. Etone be your name. Here we go. Ho, ho, ho. My name will be Etone. Iwa. Yeah. My name will be sound effects. Iwa. Yeah, silly vocals. Oh yeah, I'm doing his sound. Yeah. We know that, you know, he has a flashback. He dreams of the baseball is alright. Yeah, he just remembered that other time realities. Yeah, I mean, we seem to remember, you know, the dreaming of the baseball is alright, so. Yeah, another universe, or a Isekai storyline here. Yeah, but you know, we see him earlier have memories of the baseball. This is the first time we see him like break down. Remember what he did. I mean, I guess some kind of, you know, connected to himself through different realities. You feel like you will have more memory every time you loop them, yeah, or, you know, accumulate some here. Yeah, exactly. The more you loop, the more you will actually know, right? So it's like eventually you would remember most of them, right? Because you, if infinite, yeah, but because the infinite number of loops too, eventually you get to a point where you remember lots of them, and you know. That just felt kind of. I don't know. Yeah, it displayed something I kind of assumed the other way. They were seem to have memories more and more, right? So it could be her house, maybe her uncle. What's this thing? Maybe he just went crazy. He couldn't like scratch it. He probably heard some parasites, right? It looks like the uncle probably. Can't really. Yeah, exactly. It's uncle. Huh. But he's like remembering his death or something. But why would he actually remember them talking about his death though? That's like a weird thing. But yeah, it's uncle. Well, then maybe she can send her uncle through bad memories or something, or bad realities. Well, he doesn't even seem to know why they're there, right? Like he's dreaming all this bad. A lot of beer. But maybe we explain why he's so evil then, because she's like making him more and more crazy. I'm gonna send him like, you know, bad memories in more and more, right? He's making him go crazier. But the first dream makes no sense though. The second dream is like him remember him getting beaten up, right? But the first dream is like him remembering them finding his body. How would he have memories of being dead? You know, this first dream didn't make any sense because his other dream is his memory of being dead, but like, he wouldn't have that, he would be dead, right? So it's like the cops' memories, right? Yeah, some good pachinko though. This feels very classic Japan if you have some issues, honestly. I mean, I'm not saying, you know, pachinko, it's a nice game, right? But it's very classic. Some guys like addicted, he plays pachinko. Yeah, take his daughter to play pachinko. Yeah, it's gonna be great, honey. Like this feels, this feels very like this feels. This reminds own daughter, so to speak. But yeah, but of course he's like addicted to pachinko. It makes perfect sense, right? It's getting all this like guilt now, seeing this girl getting all these gifts here from Papa. Something for Satoko, I guess. Choco donuts. It's just weird. I sitting next to like yeah, next to like daycare or something, eating donuts. I like how he isn't bad boy enough to not use a helmet. He's a very safe enemy. This guy, the evil uncle, he has a helmet though. You know, he's not bad boy enough to ride the bike without a helmet. I feel like she's making it happen somehow. I was back, I guess, that old house, the family house earlier. Yeah. I was like, oh no, it's him, the evil uncle, right? Yeah, but it's like a weird thing now. I guess she's like, is she manipulating him to try to be good or something? Yeah, not to meet him, right? But this is still like Satoko. She's still afraid of him though, even though she has her time powers, I guess. I mean, this is probably her time powers, right? Yeah. But she snap her finger and go back in time her though. Yeah, it's like a weird thing now. He's like, I haven't been nice to you. But you wonder if this is her playing this is happening, or she's, you know, it's by random luck here because she gave him all the memories. Yeah, this is weird now. The uncle is a nice guy to her now. He's like guilt tripping or something. This is really weird. No, it's like, what is it? Really weird, man. Like, is this her remembering shit that she's like four? I don't know. Yeah, like what's happening here? Choco donuts, fantastic gift, really. It's how you charm any woman. Yeah. So it's by random luck that this happens because she's like he gets the bad nightmares and she's like well always with memories, but but I mean this one has the power strike. She can like if something goes wrong now, she can snap back. Those three guys probably so earlier. She's like some Yankees, yeah. She's like get away, the Pompadour. I'm gonna kill you. Here we go. Gaki, here we go. Ha, yeah, it's like the Ha brothers. Here we go. There's some straight up delinquents here. Can she like time snap or something to not make it happen? That's probably like Myon and Shion maybe. But yeah, that is really weird. So the heroic uncle. It feels strange now that the uncle decided to save her and so on. That is a weird episode. Yeah, this is like a really weird episode now. Like, so the uncle is good in this reality or something, and I mean, I guess is he gonna betray? I don't know. Maybe he goes crazy. I just wondering how this reflects to. Yeah, I wonder how this reflects to Satoko killing Rika, right? This is kind of cute. I don't love her. I don't care about my niece. I don't care. No, I'm a bad guy. Yeah, now he's like, I'm a bad guy, you know. I would never save a little girl. I'm a bad boy. He's kind of cute now. He's trying to, you know, not admit that he's like he's a tsundere. Yeah, not admit that he's a good guy or you know, something good, right? Whatever. Waiting for him out there. But yeah, you keep wondering, it's gonna be a cliffhanger. She's like, playing him, right? Like manipulating him with her powers to make this thing happen, probably. It's a weird sound out there. Yeah, what happened? The uncle I know was a bad stir. Like, what happened here? Yeah, bad dreams, eh? Some kind of memory dreams, eh? Oh yeah. But I don't know. No, she's using her. I think she's using her powers to like make this happen, right? To some extent, obviously with the memory thing. And why does this? I still feel how does it end up with the gun thing with Rika, right? Yeah, it's like, oh, this life is good. I made my uncle be a good guy now or something. This seems so unrelated, unless if someone kills him or something, right? If he gets the syndrome or something. I feel like something's happened bad anyway with this between them. To make her go snap even further, right? Like she has to snap even more somehow, so the uncle turns good, and then yeah, and then it still doesn't work out or something. I'm just waiting for something to stick someone to kill him or something. I'm just waiting for him to die or something now. Like she's finally gonna be nice to her, and he dies. Like I'm waiting for some Rika to kill him or something to make her really snap. Come on, give me something stupid ending here when he, I don't know, a car hits him or something. Isekai truck comes or something. Or she trusts him and then it still fails. But she can just snap that shit though, so. Yeah, she remembers his bad behavior, of course. But he might jump into the track, I don't know. Yeah, it's like weird. But with the whole car traffic thing and and the traffic light flickering, it feels like someone's gonna get Truck-kun here. It feels like Truck-kun's gonna come, right? Because it feels very much like, oh, why is the traffic so important in the background? Yeah, so you can snap that, I guess. Maybe, come back in time, like not be afraid or something. Definitely a really weird episode, honestly. Like, I don't know. It feels kind of like, okay, what's the point of this? Oh, here's a version where her uncle wasn't pure evil, but he wasn't evil in the past anyway. Oh. I think the weird thing with the episode probably primarily is that previously so focused on Rika, right? And why she's like, she haven't got to the gun scene with Rika, right? There was like 1-2 episodes left now, so you kind of wondering like, are we finally gonna resolve why she's, the last bit. I'm gonna see one episode there. So you get into the end here soon, right? It says question mark, not episodes. Oh, that's so bad. Okay, I don't know man then. Man, they are. Doesn't help me either. I'm trying to figure out how many episodes there are. There's 24 here. Maybe 24 then. Which means only one more episode, right? Which seems very few time to resolve all these issues here. That's what I mean here, because I read earlier there's that many episodes, and here it says 24 episodes, which might be correct. I don't know if it's correct or not, because other sides have question marks. But 24 episodes means only one more week left, right? But it could be to like 26 episodes. It could be 26 episodes. It could be more. It could be up to something like 20. 36 probably, 25, yeah. Usually what you get is like a 25 episode, maybe less. Here's a 24 though. That is less than I would guess. But the thing is that it's more common. The thing is that it's less, like it's more common to having lesser episodes if it's, you know, a continuation, right? So it's moved over. Of course, this anime started airing last season, right? So it's a double, you know, a double season, right? And then it's more, more, how say it, likely, right, that it's less episodes. But anyway, that sounds like really few episodes. That sounds really few. But that's what I mean. I feel like if it is, let's assume that's wrong. That sounds very few. Only one more episodes. That sounds very few. But even without only one more episode, it is at max 3 more episodes, right? Probably, unless it's like a second season after this thing, right? But it really feels like I have a hard time seeing them how they're gonna, how do I say it, right? How they're gonna get the threads together now, because it feels like a really weird thing now. Where, okay, she has the power to also kind of use backtrack in like a few seconds or what that. She names the goddess thing to like Une, right? Ettone, my name is Ettone, yeah, okay. And she's like, oh, I can control this thing better than Rika can. And then it's like, the uncle doesn't need to be controlled by her though. It's just random luck, right? That he was nicer to her anyway. And then of course she just turned him down anyway. So it didn't like I'm surprised that he didn't go anywhere with it, honestly. Like in the last minute there, right? Expected her to either trust him, and then of course that being a mistake, and he would turn her anyway, or her turning him down, and then he would like jump into, you know, Raccoon or whatever, right? That kind of thing. Or something else, maybe, you know, next episode might do that. He might get, you know, Raccoon next episode. But it felt like weird, yeah. I just have a hard time seeing how this is gonna like relate or to the main plot of Rika's like in her time loop, right? And you know, Satoko is like a double time. It's like a time loop. It's a loop on a loop, right? It reminds me of as a really nerdy thing, but a couple of years ago, it's like 15 years ago. But when I was coding this, I was programming this drilling thing at school. It's like control a drilling machine. And to make it happen, because we were doing it in assembly language, so you couldn't just write like delay 10 seconds. You had to just make a loop where the computer or this drilling machine would just count internally on the stacks. You just count on the stack before they drilled again, so they wouldn't overheat. But anyway, what you did then to make it count for a long time, you made a loop on a loop. So it's like when you did it, so first you have a loop. It's like count to 100, you know, count like 1, 2, 3, 4, right? Do that 100 times. You loop around, you know, do this 100 times, right? Plus 1 integer, yeah. And then it's like, well, that's too fast. Okay, then you make another loop. So you make like count to 100 times, do 100 time loops. And that's like and 100 loops on that loop, and then like another loop. So you will loop the loop because you couldn't count. So basically, in this stack system, you can't go to a higher value than you can't say like loop 10,000 times. It doesn't have that valuation. You can only go to like 99. You can't go to like a higher. Don't have like a set number of, you know, binary digits. You can't go further than a certain number. so you can't tell it to like do this 10,000 times. You have to be like do this 100 times, 100 times, 100 times. But anyway, so basically you do a loop in a loop in a loop, right? Yeah, you loop the loop, and in the loop is it's like a loop inside a loop, right? But that's what I mean. The general plot point is like we've seen it from Rika's perspective, right? In the beginning, first you see people getting crazy, right, and whatever. And then we go Rika become the main character, right? To be the main character, and then actually Satoko is the main character. But Rika becomes the main character, right? Ever see from her perspective, she's trying to fix it, doesn't help, right? But then it turns out that she's in a loop, in another loop, right? She's in Satoko's loop, and that's what I feel is like the main thing. Okay, so she's fighting her. Oh, this little cat! I got my shit, she got her shit. Oh, Rika, you can do this too, you loser, you know, so on. That to me is like the real drama, right? I mean, getting so few episodes left now. that I want to see them focus on that, honestly, right? I'm getting this uncle part is gonna somehow relate, and it's gonna go back to how do I say it? This thing is somehow right. This is gonna go back, and it's gonna, you know, be like, whoa, you know, and somehow he's gonna betray her, or she's gonna feel sorry for him or whatever, and that will of course turn into, I don't know, motivating her to kill Rika or something, right? Whatever. But yeah, something will happen to him probably, or her, or both, right? Whatever, right? And you know, that will lead to something, right? Obviously, something has to happen to him next episode. But it really feels like a weird offshot for me. I'd much rather see them. I think in the beginning of the episode, when they kind of focused on, you know, we're playing this board game, right? Like memory, and Rika is like, oh, sorry, Satoko cheating with her power shot, and Rika's like, wow, can I do it too? Yeah, that thing, right? I think that to me felt a lot more interesting, and that like felt more on the main plot, right? Of like this like looping time battle. You know, I've trapped you in a time loop, right? We're gonna have this time loop, magical goddess time loop battle. That felt to me much more like this is the end game, right? Of this story, with very few, potentially only one episode left, right? Instead, it started with that, and then it went like in the next episode with the uncle, right? Really interested to see him being nice to her. It's an interesting touch to it. It's an interesting, you know, another kind of, you know, reality. But it just feels like, I don't really think, in my opinion, from like a general narrative standpoint here, do we have time really, you know, to go into like, oh, here's the uncle, if he was nice to her, this would happen, right? Do you know what I mean? It feels like that's like, okay, I get the point, is that because they have more and more memories, because every loop makes them more and more remember what happened to him, he keeps remembering his previous deaths now, so he gets nicer and nicer, I guess. But still though, it feels a little bit like, isn't it time to kind of go back to the gun part and actually resolve this like time loop or trap battle? Because in that loop, right, Rika has discovered that Satoko is time controlling her, right, and she figured out that Satoko has time powers too. And this loop here might be the same loop, but we know at least Satoko and Rika, how it ended with before in Satoko's perspective, right? That is like another time loop, right? That's at the end of, I mean, obviously this episode here with Satoko cheating and so on, right, that has to be before Rika, you know, figures out that she has the same powers, right, or similar powers at least. So we are still haven't moved to the final time loop, right, or like at least a final time loop where the other thing end off, right. You know what I mean? Hopefully, you know what I mean. Come on, you know what I mean. But anyway, I just think that to me feels like, well, it's like 1-2 episodes left, right. I think it's time to go back to that shit and resolve the end of the plot. I don't know. I just feel it's weird. Again, I think the uncle part was pretty good, seeing this him being like guilt tripping and seeing sad and so on. But it feels like something that maybe should be done, you know, 10 episodes ago, right? Like way earlier. This thing probably should have been done. I feel like the first beginning of the episode, that felt much more on the main story of them, you know, fighting with their time powers, right? And now I suddenly went into this like, the uncle is guilty now. It was like, oh, guilt tripping. It's like, okay, and you know, how does it actually really relate to the main story? I don't know. Doesn't feel like this relates to the main story at all. I mean, sure, certainly, something will happen to him, or he will do something, right? Whatever, and that's gonna trigger Satoko probably, of course. But still, that feels like, is that really it though? Isn't she already kind of, you know, snapped and evil and wants to kill her anyway? I mean, you know what I mean? Because whatever he does, it still feels like Satoko has determined to use her powers and so on anyway, right? So she should have snapped anyway. I think, again, this feels like a scene that probably would be better before she was like, I am evil, Rick, you know. This again feels like something should happen to her before she snapped, right? The uncle being nice to her, then maybe Rika would kill him or something, right? Or whatever, right? And then she's like, Rika, you know. I think that would have felt probably more in tune, I feel, with the general storyline, right? And now it's like, okay, the uncle is nice to her, but that's after, again, this is after she already snapped, right? This is after she already changed her opinion. So I just have a hard time seeing that that's gonna really matter for her main, you know, agenda, right? So this is kind of weird. This feels kind of weird to me. Like it feels like too late, I think, to have this universe, you know, alternative universe where he's nice to her. Again, it feels like it should be done probably way earlier, right? But anyway, that's, you know, my review. This episode is like, the episode is pretty good, but it feels like it's kind of off place. Like, you know, like I'm just like waiting for this time loop thing to be resolved, right? The actual main plot to be resolved. And okay, this is interesting. It's an interesting side storyline, but it feels like really, yeah, like it's not, like I wouldn't have it here, right? I'm like, Because, yeah, it's like 1-2 episodes left. I want to have them. What I'm afraid of, and I think this is I said there before I turn off here, this reaction review. What I'm afraid of is that I think it's very common for especially horror shows, not just anime. I said every time, not just anime, but horror and manga, movies, everything. I think they're very, very common that they have like a weak finisher on it, right? I think it's very, very common, especially with horror stuff, that they have this really weird, because a lot of horror stuff, they create all these threads, right? They're very like mystery and threads, and then they have this really weird like resolution of who's the bad guy, or who's the actual, murderer, or why did it happen, or how did they defeat the zombie. So yeah, it usually has like a very weird twist to it that doesn't make any sense usually, and it's just very, very common. I think in the horror anime, extremely common. This would be so many horror animes that I liked until I got to the last episode, and I'm like, oh man, yeah, especially this one. My best example of that is Another. I won't spoil it here, but Another, I liked Another, but then I go to the last episode when they revealed who is the actual bad guy, and I was like, come on, like this is, I was like, come on, and I don't want to spoil it. Basically, it was so stupid because they revealed this flashback that we as the viewer got to see earlier, or like we had that scene earlier in episode 1 or 2, whatever. But they reveal it like further. So the viewer, you watched episode 1 or 2, right? You see this scene with these characters, and then it's like, okay, that's a scene, right? And then in the last episode, they kind of have the flashback back to that scene, but then they extend it by like 1-2 minutes, where the character have like a further dialogue. And then the bad guy's like, oh, don't you remember this thing? And like, yeah, so the bad guy's like, well, don't you remember episode 1? And it's like, oh yeah, I do. And then it's like, but the main character, right, has this like, extended flashback that we didn't see earlier. Then it's like, oh, of course, you were the bad guy. I should have known from the beginning because I knew that information. But you as the viewer, you never knew that, right? Because we never got to see that like 3-minute flashback. We always like 1-minute flashback. Yeah, we didn't get to see the whole flashback, the episode 1 or 2, whatever. And that's why I hate the anime. No, but I like that is ruined the anime for me, because if they had shown that, if he actually had shown you the full flashback, they explained to it, you could have been, I see, this person might be the, this person might be the murderer. But without having that information, it just felt silly. And the main character, then, according to the storyline, always has that information, right? But he just can't figure it out. So that makes him become a moron, because he had the truth from the beginning, right? So he had the full information. You as the viewer can never really guess who is the murderer, because you don't have the full information. You can guess it a minute, but you can't really give good theory for it. And the anime is like, oh, but don't you remember this flashback? Like, no, that wasn't in episode 1. That was like a half the episode 1. Like, what? Yeah, so whatever. But that's my best sample of, like, I think the anime is pretty good. Then you get to the last episode, you're like, this is the murderer? How? What? Oh, okay. So it's like a secret storyline we didn't get to see. Oh, this is lame. And I say one thing here again. I said it probably earlier. I think I compared it to Agatha Christie and so on. She's on writing there. This is classic. I don't remember which one I said, but I said earlier in with this anime, it is a classic Christie book where one of the murderers is clearly lying to the main character, and the main character knows that, because she's like, oh, but you told me to take the train from London to Edinburgh, but I know that the train in London only leaves at 11 p.m. on Sundays, so you lied to me, and that means this thing, and that's why you are the bad guy, But the thing is, as the reader, when you read this book, right, or the movie, whatever, it's also like a movie, when you read that book, whatever, you read the book, you get to that point where he's like lying to her, chapter 10 or whatever, right, or chapter, or something like that, and then to the 20, it's like, oh, this is the reader who's the murderer. But you as the reader is like, I didn't know the time schedule of like London trains back in the 7th century, 18th century London. I didn't know the 18th century London's time schedule for like London, Edinburgh, or whatever. Yeah, it's like, come on, this makes no sense, because the only reason you could figure it out is because if you as the reader or viewer of the movie viewer knew about like London's train system back in like that system, so you need to know that she, of course, as the main character knows that, and it's like, that's why I know you lied to me, so you are the murderer. But it's like you as the reader can't figure it out, and I felt like, man, that's what a really weak detective kind of movie and book, right? Where I want to be able to watch like a horror movie, okay, murder mystery movie, right, or TV show, and of course be able to figure out, like I'm a big fan of, for example, Law and Order, right, and that's those kind of Dick Wolf shows, Chicago PD and so as well, and it's always like in those shows you can always, they're arguably definitely too predictable, but still you can kind of okay, so the wife got murdered, but this guy I think the son did it based on this thing, and he get the inheritance. And I said, yeah, I was right. You know, you kind of want to have that. It's the I want to have the. And the good thing in this movies, the TV shows, I think with the Lord is that yes, they're not super good, but I think they actually are quite popular in that sense that they are not overly complicated. You can probably figure out most time who is the murder, right, or who is the whatever, right, what the crime it is, and you get the figure by that. I'm not saying it's very complicated, but I think that's just how it should be, right? It shouldn't be easy necessarily, but it shouldn't also be, you know, like, oh, you can't do it unless you have some extra information that you don't actually know, right? But anyway, yeah, I feel I'm a little afraid here, right? Because I'm starting to feel now that it's like one episode left, and I still haven't got back to the scene in which she you know knew that Satoko was lying to her and had the time battle scene, you know, because then I'm afraid that they're gonna have to wrap up the last bit, right? You know, one episode left. They had to wrap up the uncle scene now. Then, like, what's 5 minutes to wrap up the time battle, right? Like, I mean, I'm just like, man, I want to see this time battle hopefully be resolved in a good way, right? I don't want it to be like, time battle is over. Yeah, I want it to actually be resolved in a good way. And I'm starting to really feel worried now that a time battle or whatever, the actual Rika Satoko, you know, time looping shenanigans seems to be pushed more and more to the side again, right? I mean, and it's weird to me because the episode started like straight up with her, like, oh, look at my memory time powers, Rika. And I was like, oh, you're interesting, yeah, interesting, you know. So they had that in the beginning. I felt like, oh, this is interesting. They're getting into this, you know, looping time powers now, right? Can Rika also discover her powers and fight her, and you know, this stuff like interesting. And then I went to the uncle, right? And I'm just like, okay, how does this relate to the main story? Not at all, apparently. Whatever, you know what I mean? I'm just like, why are we doing this? You know, I just feel like, why are we here? You know, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe it's gonna be an amazing twist with Uncle, but I have a hard time seeing it. I feel this is just like an interesting side story that could have been done like 10 episodes ago. That's what I feel, right? Of course, it might be more than one episode left. So I think this might be wrong. I don't know. It's set 54 here. Only site I could find. I can't really confirm it. Only one site, but only one episode left, guys. That feels very little. But anyway, see you guys soon with, of course, quintuplets.